You're busy being a technician,
Mhm.
and technicians do technical work, and we fix inanimate objects. The air conditioner doesn't care. It's broken. It doesn't have feelings or emotion. Your homeowner does. Your homeowner very much has feeling and emotion. And if you would shift your focus to going, I can fix the box, I need to also fix my homeowner.
The new Flat Rate Podcast.
The new Flat Rate!
For contractors ready to boost tickets, simplify business, and gain freedom. Today's episode is a big one. We sat down with Rory Krueger, co-owner of Krueger Heating and Air Conditioning, and a member of the new Flat Rate, for one of the most blunt, no BS conversations we've had on this show. Rory's been in the trades for over 35 years, and he pulls zero punches on why so many contractors are flying blind on their own numbers, chasing shiny objects instead of building something that lasts. This conversation ran so long and so good, we had to split it into two parts. So get ready, because part one alone is going to challenge how you think about your business. And now your host, me, Natalie Koop, and your co-host, Danielle Putnam. Today we're joined by Rory Krueger, co-owner of Krueger Heating and Air, and a member of the new Flat Rate. In this episode, we're talking about what it really takes to run a contracting business over the long haul. From understanding your numbers and making smarter business decisions to leading people well and building a company that lasts. Rory, thanks for being here.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me, guys.
It's really an honor to have you on here. I know that you've been in the industry and been running your company for longer than a couple of years, and that's a big
Just
deal.
more than a couple years. Yeah. So I've been at it for a hot minute. Over 35 years in the industry now. I like to say 3.5 decades, and my wife corrects me and says, no, that makes you really old. I'm like, well, it's better to be seen than viewed. So I'm happy I'm still here. So, yeah.
Well, that perfectly leads me into my first question. You're running a third generation company that's been around for over 20 years. What does that responsibility feel like?
You end up with a company, and everybody here, and I want to give credit to Ron Smith in the industry, and he was the one who said you have external customers and you have internal customers, and everybody that's here on our team is a customer I need to take care of every day, and because they're living their life, they're doing things that they come to work, they earn an income, and then they go home, and as much as everybody'd like to work to live or live to work. I don't think that's the common vernacular anymore. It's you want to work to live. So it's responsibility of making sure I know everybody here, no wives, no kids, that we do interaction with families. We do 4 outings a year where wives and kids are included in that, because they're part of that team. We're coming into June, July, and August right now, as we're recording this, and I've got guys that are going to have 70-hour weeks, and guess who's going to be at home with the kids, right? It's probably not them, because they're doing 70-hour weeks. So I need to make sure I take care of them too. So that's what our motto is. But again, we're with having the third generation join us full time this year, it really is a family thing. So
There's a lot of maturity in that. That's not something that you have built into a business if you just started your first year. You don't even know how important it is to include the families. So that says a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah. Well, again, Danielle, you did the TFR. There's a family business. And again, it's growing and taking care of people like family. And when you follow that rule, or we call it the grandmother rule, when we won't recommend or propose anything to our clients or customers that we wouldn't recommend to our own grandmother. But when we take care of each other in that same fashion, that's a win-win. I like to say that we have an inverted pyramid here, and that is I'm down here at the bottom and everybody else is above me, because I want to make sure that I support you and grow,
Yeah.
because when they grow, I grow. But if they don't grow, then I don't grow. So that's what it feels like. I'm just one piece to this puzzle. So it takes a lot of people to make this thing work, and I'm just one piece to that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, what do people misunderstand about building a long-lasting contracting company?
I think one of the biggest misnomers people look at is they look at top line revenue and they think, oh, as long as we've got a big number in total gross sales, we've got a lot of trucks on the road, I know people ask that question, right? Is it like, how many trucks you got on the road? All right. Well, what's your total revenue? What's your gross margins? What's your net profit like within each one of those trucks? And are you tracking those numbers? I would gather to guess that most people are not. They get the big numbers, but they don't look at it on the real granular level. They don't break it down to even the granular level of every single call and going exactly how are we optimizing this. And they get lopsided, and they get that tunnel vision, and it's financial, and it's not necessarily all financial, because when you take care of people and homeowners
Yeah.
like their family, then the financial rewards will come. But it's amazing when that starts happening, how people will gladly say, absolutely, here, let me write the check. But I think people get short-sighted in that, and they miss that vernacular. There, as both of you know, especially you, Danielle, there are tons and tons of software and systems out there right now that promise the world to make your business run, but it's still the human aspect. We're in Southwest Missouri, and it's, a handshake is still as good as the longest legal contract you could have here. And if
Yeah.
your handshake isn't worth it, then we're not doing it anyway. So
Right. Funny, Rory, I was running with my brother this morning and I was talking to him about his heating and air company. And he says, Danielle, you read too many business books. You're listening to too many voices. He's like, running a contracting business is easy. He said, all you have to do is be nice to your customers and show up when they need you. He's like,
mhm.
that's it. But like you're saying, with longevity, those customers depend on you. They know that about you. They like the way that your company makes them feel. And then they continue to refer their friends and family to you. And so the longevity in business, that's something that I believe, to Natalie's question, that companies that have just started don't realize yet and can't feel of the returning, recurring effects of being in business, being there long enough to have supported your customers over time and them to continue to come back. It's a compounding effect that is amazing.
Yeah, our number one job is to get and keep customers.
Yeah.
It's our number one job is to get and keep them. Mindy said it a long time ago. Again, as long as we've been at this, and it is, we have grown more by referral than we have any marketing or advertising effort we have ever done. And it says a little bit about just who we really are. Yeah, it's
And why you're still around
mhm.
and continue to be such a strong brand and company in your community. I love it.
Yeah. That's what I think people miss is truly going, what's their why being. But it's usually you find people, their your year 3 to 5, and they're just creating, what's the vision statement, what's our core values. It's like, well, you should start with all of that, right? What is your mission statement? What are your core values? When most guys wake up and have the entrepreneurial seizure to get into business, it's like, I'm making all this money for this guy, I'm gonna go do it myself.
Mm.
But they didn't write down their why.
Mm.
What's your why?
Sometimes I don't know if they know it yet.
I would agree. Yeah. Again, because you're busy being a technician,
Mm-hmm.
and technicians do technical work, and we fix inanimate objects.
Mm-hmm.
The air conditioner doesn't care. It's broken. It doesn't have feelings or emotion. Your
Mm-hmm.
homeowner does. Your homeowner very much has feeling and emotion. And if you would shift your focus to going, I can fix the box, I need to also fix my homeowner. Because my homeowner wasn't planning on having an air conditioner that broke when it was 95 degrees. Broken, listen to me, broken at 95 degrees. You guys are in Georgia, it's hot and humid. And the same thing here in Missouri, and it's hot and humid. And it's like, no, this wasn't on my schedule today.
Mm-hmm.
And so take care of your homeowner, nurture that relationship, assure them that you have options to be able to take care of them, and that you'll present those options, share those options with them before you do anything else. It's the system you guys have, and it just works flawlessly because it's the way we do anything else. And so again, now I'm gonna take care of my homeowner. So it's like, I can decompress. Now I can fix the inanimate box, right? And take care of it.
You mentioned that there are contractors who are constantly reacting and others who operate strategically. What's the difference between those two mindsets?
Well, we were talking a little bit before we started this about goals, and achieving goals. Specifically, we were talking about running, and that, and talking about our mile times. If you look at a goal, and you achieve a goal, you're making a strategic move, right? As opposed to people who react to the way the wind blows, right? Oh, the call isn't ringing, so we need to have a cheap tune-up special just to get in people's houses so that we can generate some replacement leads. You can see I get a little passionate about that. That's being very reactionary, but we see our whole industry do it. Oh, paid Facebook ads, paid social media. It's just, but it's all reactionary. It's the cause and effect. It's, oh, this happened, so I'm going to do this in reverse. And the next thing you know, as opposed to being calculated and systematic, watching daily revenue goals, weekly revenue goals, having a budget for the entire year and tracking that point. We track break even here daily on what it takes to make this thing work. That overhead is loaded by month. So not all of my overhead goes into, it's not spread out over 12 months because June, July, and August are going to be busy. So more overheads put into June, July, and August. Still annualized as in spend, but we're going to recoup that. But we see, just like we were just talking about people in the, who are new into the industry and the what are they, or into the trade. Maybe they're not new, but they're new to being a business owner.
Right.
So they don't know what they don't know. They didn't create that. They just, oh, I'm going to go fix things. Well, again, being strategic would be, I have to fix this many things. I need this many calls. I need them spread over this time frame. That's what I see. Software, and Danielle, you've been around this industry your whole life too. The amount of noise in our industry right now. There's another best trade practices group. There's another coaching group. There's another guy or girl in a tight t-shirt screaming and hollering about how you got to attend their seminar, another software system, another marketing system, another text message system. None of that, all that can be strategic, but it's usually, hey, I got a thing in the mail or a phone call. Oh yeah, I got to do that. Yeah, I got to do that. Oh, I saw a big company's name on that list. So must work for them. I'll do it. And it's not strategic, right?
Yeah, you're on a golden spot here. So we react, but if marketing was a great example of let's do the Facebook ads and the paid stuff, and it's reactionary because we need some calls, we need some volume, versus looking ahead, spending time thinking about what growth do we want? What do we want our revenue to be? How are we going to get it? What's our team need to look like? What do our calls need to look like? What software are we going to need? What's our tech stack going to need to look like? And thinking ahead instead of I love how you're saying there is so much noise, and the noise is creating this false sense. Well, it's creating fear. I absolutely believe there's so much fear out there. And somebody said to me at a luncheon today, they're like, well, all the social media fear about, you have to have the perfect business on social media. And I was like, yes, right? Versus realizing what a great company you may actually have today, and you make it home to have dinner with your family, how great that is. And so I
Yeah.
love how you're saying so clearly that when we think ahead and pre-plan, what is the business going to need? What software is it going to need? What people is it going to need? Instead of just grabbing what comes knocking.
Yeah, I think the accurate quote was from Matt Michelle, and it was the average family spends a business owning family spends more time planning their family vacation than they do the annual plan to run their business. So we're going to go on a vacation for 7 to 14 days in the heating and air conditioning business. That's not going to be June, July, or August, right? But we're going to spend more time planning a 7-day vacation than we are the roadmap of the next 12 months financially. Or better yet, what about the next year, the next 2 years, the next 5 years? What does that look like on paper? I would add the nugget that I would guess that a lot of those operators don't, a lot of those small business guys don't even know that they don't know it. They know that they can go out and run a service call and write out a ticket and collect a check, and then they go to the next one, and then they go to the next one. And it's not that the information isn't available. It's just they don't know that they should have the information. I think there's a really good book that was written, and it's Where'd the Money Go? Hey, I've been really busy, but are you making any money at it? You know? So
Mike Michalowicz, Profit First, has a children's book called Money Bunnies. It, have you read it? Or
have.
Well, it's just so simple with the little money bunny jar. So we made it in our family, and there's 3. It starts with 3. Instead of having to know where all the money goes, just start simple. You have your today money, your one-time money, your never money. It's so simple.
Yeah. It's funny as just on a call with a really great plumber in California and one of my coaching people and talking about that, and he's getting ready. He's not done profit first for by Mike McCullough yet. And I said, warning, it'll be game changing, but
Yeah.
you're going to have to adhere to it, and you have to follow the principles. One of the largest principles in his that he teaches in that book is separating it. So you're
Mhm.
taking that profit first right out every dollar, and you're moving it somewhere completely that you can't get to, right? It's like, I don't want to touch it
Yeah.
because, and too many people do that with their business. They have one company operating checking account. Everything flows in and out of that versus dividing it up and making sure you go, things are lean. I don't have any money for paid Facebook advertising. so,
Right.
so again, don't react, be systematic. Plan the goal. Where are we going? What are we doing? And how are we going to get there?
You had said something really interesting when we had met before that really stood out to me. It's, do you even know your numbers? Why so many contractors struggle with that?
Because they're technicians doing technical work. Read the E-Myth, it'll all make sense. But your technicians doing technical work. They know how to fix broken stuff. They aren't an accounting major.
Mhm.
There are some that are good with numbers, but those are usually the exception and not the rule. I think it's the Jeff Foxworthy joke of, hey, you want it paid off? I'll just write you a check. I don't know how much money's in the bank, but you'll take a check, so I'll just write you the check, right? um, we've moved into a credit card, debit card world, right? That's another nugget is we run this business very much on what I'll just give kudos to Dave Ramsey principle, and we run this as a cash business.
Yeah.
We pay for everything. There are very few things that are quote quote on account. There are some things I can't pay for as I go, but otherwise we're paying for things every day. And it's interesting to do that because it's not the way this industry works. You go to the supply house, you charge stuff. You go to the supply house, you charge stuff. Then you get the statement and you're going, oh crap, I don't have that money to pay that. But when you pay for it every single day and you have
Yeah.
a system set up to do that, you don't have that statement that comes that you can't take care of. But it sure does allow you to show that jar and go,
Yeah.
this is the profit. This is the money I'm going to keep. People don't know their numbers because they're afraid to ask, is
Mhm.
probably the big thing. I just circle back to your question there. They don't know who to ask. So many of as we were already talking about the bandwidth in this industry with all of the fodder and all of the noise, everybody's now a guru.
Mhm.
And they're just really loud and being guru-ish. They're not going, okay, let's actually get into QuickBooks. Let's actually pull your accounting numbers. Let's run a break-even calculator. Let's run an hourly labor calculator. For heaven's sakes, get off of time and materials, right? Not to beat the new flat rates drum, but I'll do it. Gosh, it solves so many of those pricing issues and how you make money because it makes you do it before you can even use the system.
Mhm.
And we've already talked about the systems, right? And put the systems in place. So there's a ton of people in this industry who will help and coach
Yes.
in getting you guided in the right direction, and they won't do it loudly. They won't
Mhm.
make you attend a concert or pay to see a show or do anything else. They're just going to help. And
Genuinely.
do some of them have a product that you can use? Absolutely. But a lot of them will just be there to help.
And, I think so many times we don't ask for help because we feel like we're supposed to know the answers. We feel like we have to make people think that we know the answers, especially with finances.
Hmm.
So, I like to just rip the Band-Aid off and say, okay, let's just pretend we don't know and start
Yeah.
asking questions again.
Well, that's just it. And again, I think we have a generation of people who wear their pride on their sleeve. And not that we aren't all that way,
Yeah.
but it would be going, Natalie, do you know what your finances are like? And if she goes, no, I actually don't. The odds are she may not even say that. It probably answer be, oh yeah, I got it. Right.
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 I think I've referenced one of our people that's here at this company. He started right out of high school, went to tech school, went to trade school. Now, granted, he's got a little DNA that's in the heating and air business, so the mechanical side came very, very natural to him. But he saved every single penny. His standard answer is, "I'm broke." I was
Mm.
like, "No, I know what your bank accounts are like. You're not broke." He goes, "No, I'm broke. My budget is what it is, and I'm broke. I don't have cash to spend because I'm looking for a total net savings of X." Well, last year in October, at the age of 20, he bought a house
Amazing.
because he managed his finances for all of high school and then getting out of high school, and he bankrolled money. But
Amazing.
he knew what the financial picture was. And in fact, everybody in the world was like, how is a 20-year-old going to buy a house?
Yeah.
He did. He had accounts, he paid them, he saved money, was able to demonstrate all that to the lending institution, for applying for the loans. It was like, absolutely, we'll give you money. Why? Because you're financially responsible. So,
Right. I
but
love
it's so fascinating to see that. And what's interesting is it is coachable. It is something that can be learned.
it.
But you have to we've referenced fitness a couple times in this conversation, and that is you have to be held to be accountable. You gotta have, it's not you find a mentor or a coach you can trust and share and help you along that guide. More importantly, have that person be somebody who you'll listen to and isn't afraid to tell you no.
Yeah.
Right. And so often we do that in industry, is like in the trades, an owner will get an idea and they do have somebody, but they don't want to hear no. They don't want to hear that your idea wasn't the best, well thought out. I am definitely a man by nature, because it's what is the next shiny thing, right? Don't be distracted by shiny things or chase squirrels.
Well, and I think that's the danger in it that we do a lot, especially as entrepreneurs, is we don't think all the way through of the unintended consequences. This is a great idea. I can get my team's buy-in. I can pull the trigger, and oh wow, I did not think about XYZ.
Mhm.
And so challenging, having the accountability and the parameters to challenge the idea. We are following a new model at our company this year called bets. And it's been so fascinating. You might have already heard of this model, but I hadn't before. And so this year we worked with a strategy team. And at the beginning of the year, they said, okay, what do you think is going to happen in the industry this year? Over the next 5 years, 10 years, what do you think is going to happen in your business? What's the biggest threats? What are your opportunities in your business? Okay, what bets do you want to place? Because if you go to Vegas, you can only sit at the table and put so much money in before you run out of money. Every bet costs money, but where do you want to play? And you can't play every bet. So we chose as a company, as a leadership team, 6 bets. These are the lanes that we are going to stay in. And our advisors taught us this year, you can't change your bets. That's where you're going to invest your money and your time, your talents this year. That's where you're going to play, but you can change your initiatives. So every quarter, every month or week or whatever, you're looking at them saying, all right, are we on track? Are we not? And we can change the initiatives, but here's my point. No shiny object, no squirrels unless they align with a bet. And so when I come in, I'm like, hey, I've got this great idea. I have to prove back that it supports bet number 2. And if it doesn't, then it automatically gives everybody the right to be like, nope. And that has helped us. So it's been a new level of accountability of saying, all right, these are the initiatives. This is the mission of the business. And if it doesn't align with that, shiny object could be a great idea for another year.
Mhm. It's very, very, very well put. I don't remember who to give credit to this, but it was put up guardrails.
Mm-hmm.
You put up financial guardrails in your world and stay within your guardrails. But those guardrails will keep you guided when you choose to go doing crazy stuff that is not a good plan. And again, there are a host of different books that talk about it, right seat or right on the bus. And again, staying in your lane, you use that. That's a great thing. What is your lane and where are the defined things? And maybe that's where we came up with the put guardrails on your lane.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're just not going to do that.
I need a
And
ton of guardrails.
yeah,
I need a ton of guardrails.
well, I do too. And it's funny though, but so we've not talked about this, but I'll throw it out there, and it's usually the visionaries, they need guardrails.
Yeah.
They need guardrails and stop signs and lock boxes, or locked doors. Because visionaries have a tendency to dream really big, and that's why look at some of the best companies we've got in our industry, and some of the people who have exited in the last 5 years for
Yeah.
ridiculous sums of money. They're tremendous visionaries.
Yeah.
Guess what they had behind them? They had an implementer that was their guardrail person that went, yeah, we're not chasing that rabbit today, because rabbits go down rabbit holes, and at the bottom of the rabbit hole gets really, really dark. So no rabbit holes today. Not that you can relate to that at all, Danielle, at all.
Not
Not at all.
I know. I'm the bleeding heart. I'm like, don't ask me those questions. Of course, I'm going to say yes.
Hmm.
A car? Yes, I'm going to buy it for them. No,
Yep.
like, don't even tell me they need a car.
Yep. I can so relate. So
So let's get into some financials. What were some of the biggest financial lessons you learned over the years?
again, probably the largest one, and we didn't learn this. We didn't have a good system for it. We do now, and that is tracking our break even because we know what our fixed annual overhead is, provided we don't add team members or add trucks or add a large overhead item. We know what our annual overhead is to run this because we put together an annual budget. And with that, as I kind of talked about a little bit before, we break that down into 12 months, but then we load that overhead into those months of which we're going to recoup more of it. We also do departmentalized overhead. So there's more overhead that goes to a service technician in a single truck than there is to a two-man install team. And we're making sure that's done, but then we track that break even. And what I mean is we take our overhead and the total gross revenue and where we're at for gross profit or overhead as a percentage, and we're running that calculation, and you're going to break even on day 11 this month, you're going to break even on day 15, you're going to break even on day 32. Oh, I'm sorry, there are only 31 days in this month, which means I just technically lost money or I'm going broke, right? So track and break even, and again, that's a calculation. But looking at the financial side, putting your financial plan together for the year. There are several really good ways to do that. Several different best trade practices group that can help if you want, and several good books on it too. So I think,
Hey, can I ask you, Rory, for the sake of everybody listening, what does your finance team look like? So what's your finance team like?
our finance team is consists of my co-owner, who is my spouse also, which amazingly enough is a pretty cool vernacular, because she is the keeper of stuff,
Yeah.
and does a very good job at keeping the financial guardrails up for me.
Yeah.
So she's that individual. We recently onboarded our daughter, because she's going to be pulling more of that, all of the day-to-day financial stuff off of it. Kind of as I already talked about, we do everything on a cash basis, and I don't mean the cash accounting basis. I mean that we're paying for it daily, and that's by choice. And so Riley will be the individual who will be in charge of managing that daily break even, cash in, cash out. Where's it all at? And then she gives me a quick report or a flash report every day. Total top line revenue, MFO, DFOs, that's maintenance fee only, diagnostic fee only, and then break even point, and then cash position, in knowing exactly what we have cash wise available. And that's cash in a liquid sense of being able, it is not tied to anything else. It doesn't have to pay anything. It's not owed to anybody else. There's no liabilities against that cash. But we're going through this turn in Southwest Missouri right now. There's a bunch of guys that are 30 or 40-year-old 2 or 3 man shops, and they're ready to head to the couch.
Mhm.
So one will pop up and go, "Hey, I'm ready to exit. Well, do I have a little bit of cash to go over and make an acquisition?" It's one of the fastest ways we've ever grown over the years is to just go acquire somebody who's ready to be done. But I got to know what my known cash position is, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to make sure Riley does that.
But that's why I love that you have a team. We're not saying
Yes.
that you have to be able to do everything and know all the numbers and forecast and know your cash position, but Rory just did a great job at bullet pointing what he looks at and that he has resources, people on his team that he trusts that helps do that with him. I think so often we do have a lack of resourcefulness. We forget who on our team could be good at this.
Mhm. Yeah. One of the things that seems to have come of age here, and it is one of the trends that I think that I can really get on board with, is there are several people out there now who run quote quote fractional CFO companies. I have several. I've some really good friends that do one, and they're there to just manage your finances on a fractional basis because you don't need a full-time quote quote bookkeeper, right? It's that 5 employee operation. You need a CFO who understands the trades.
Mhm.
And most bookkeepers do not. They're good bookkeepers.
Yep.
They're good at making sure the numbers all end up at the bottom and that's all the boxes are checked. But whether or not you're profitable, that's not their person. I think that people get confused sometimes. Smaller people, or because again, you don't know your finances, they get confused and think that their accountant or their CPA is going to be their financial guardrail person, and that is not their job.
Right.
In fact, they may not know how to do that job because they don't know your margins. They don't know your overhead. They know it from a mathematical standpoint, but as far as a percentage of totals, they don't have that relative data to you. So when you get a fractional CFO, and those are scalable everywhere from the simple basic, hey, we're going to do this once every 90 days. Here's your plan, to I'm involved in it in weekly. You get a financial wizard that runs it without having to physically have them be an employee. Much like a great pricing system, Danielle. So many people, this is not a shameless plug, but it's a shameless plug, but so many people struggle with pricing structure, and they don't know how to price their services, and then they're doing a quote every call they run. They're trying to do something on a piece of paper, or the worst one I've seen yet, their software or CRM, fill in the blank who it is, they've got some system that does the pricing for you, so just use it. Except they didn't ask any questions. They just said, hey, where are you at? What are you doing? All right, here, we'll just turn that on for you. And oh, by the way, it costs you $500 a month, and it's just like, yeah, wow, really? And then the net result is they're still back down to one option for a homeowner. I mean, when's the last time you went to the store and had an option, right?
Yeah.
Who wants the generic store brand mac and cheese? Nobody, but if
Not
that was the only
anymore.
option, right? What?
I said, not anymore.
Not anymore. We got what? 5, 6, 7, 8 different options. That's the way a retail person, that's the way we buy as consumers. Have you bought a big screen TV, been into an electronics store? I mean, tons and tons of options. I mean, even when we shop online now, it's like, you're this picture, and oh, by the way, we thought you might like some of these too, or here are some other options to that. And then we migrate to what? Something that's a little bit better of an investment. Maybe it checks off more boxes, the reviews are higher, but back to the pricing discussion and financial discussion with that. And there are companies just like yours that will handle that piece to the puzzle and ensure your profitability, because you're not having to do one more thing. Now you can go take care of your broken homeowner and broken piece of equipment, and let them buy just like they buy everything else in their life.
Thank you for that, Rory.
It works for us. I'm just sharing.
What should we do?
What should we do?
What should we do?
What-
What should we do? Yeah.
So
Yeah.
a lot of contractors think if revenue is growing, the business must be healthy. But that's not always true, right?
It is not always true. I got a friend in Maryland. He's not only running double-digit net profit, he's running 20+% net profit. I think year to date, he's 22.8%.
So you said something earlier that I wrote down immediately. When a homeowner calls, you have a broken piece of equipment and a broken homeowner. What do you mean by that?
Natalie, has anybody ever said, I understand? And the first mental thing you do is what? No, you don't. Your spouse is not the person to call you out. Every call was its own little Hallmark movie.
If you want to learn more about the new flat rate, go to thenewflatrate.com. If you want to learn more about Krueger Heating and Air Conditioning, go to KruegerGeothermal.com. And Rory gave us way too much stuff to fit it into one episode, so this is only half of the story. Come back next week for part 2, where we get into hiring, training your team to actually connect with homeowners, and what Rory wants his company remembered for. You will not want to miss it.